Right. Hi, everyone. My name is Kylie James. I'm a certified nutritionist and registered occupational therapist here at Career Nutrition. The theme this month at Career Nutrition is cancer prevention, which is something that is quite important to me. I had three uncles diagnosed with cancer and two passed away in December last year. So I've been very conscious about my health and my health of my family in terms of doing what we can to help reduce that risk of developing cancer, because obviously there's a genetic disposition to it. So I wanted to share some of the research that I've done with regards to this. I actually did a cancer certification course and written a number of articles with respects to this. So it is super exciting to see the power of food with cancer. And so that's some of the things that I wanted to share with you today. So let's get started. Put it in the slideshow. Okay. So let's have a look at the statistics. So an estimated 225,000 new cases of cancer will occur in Canada in 2020, and 83,000 of those will result in death. So that's pretty scary. So cancer is actually the leading cause of death in Canada and was responsible for 30% of all deaths. So 1 in 2 Canadians, so that's 45% of men and 43% of women, are expected to develop cancer during their lifetime. And 1 out of 4 Canadians of those people that develop cancer will actually pass away from it. So that's 26% of men and 23% of women. So obviously this is a very important topic and something that we should all be aware of and should be exploring ways to sort of help prevent that risk from occurring. So why is cancer on the rise? So it hasn't been around for that long. Now, obviously, there's a genetic disposition. So you do find people that have cancer, their parents or grandparents have had cancer as well. So there is a genetic disposition. But what's really awesome is based on research from the New England Medical Journal, which they did a study on 45,000 twins, so a really good study. It was identified that 85% of cancers are actually caused by environment, including diet and lifestyle. So what that goes to show, because we do have genes that can turn on cancer growth or that can turn off cancer growth. So by the foods that we eat, the environment that we live in, the toxins that we are exposed to will determine whether those genes get turned on or not. So if you have a genetic disposition to it, it's not all doom and gloom. You do have control. So I feel that that's very empowering. So we talk about diet and lifestyle, but there's also our environment too. So you think of all the toxins that we're exposed to on a day-to-day basis. So the toxins in our makeup, in our cleaning products, in the air that we breathe, the water that we drink. Humankind has invented 10 million new chemicals, and thousands of these are entered into our environment, and many of these are known carcinogens. So the growth of incidence of cancer also paralyzed the industrialization and chemicalization of our world, which is why we're likely seeing that rise of cancer rate over the last century, and particularly in countries that have a lot of those factories and industrializations, etc. So I did a cancer certification course, and one of the things that they discussed was this perfect storm. So basically our bodies, we can create an environment in our bodies or like a terrain that supports cancer growth or actually can prevent it. So 3 key things that they identified as the perfect storm is your immune system, your liver, and believe it or not, your emotions. So the immune system's really important. We all actually have cancer cells, but our immune system does a very effective job at going around and taking care of those. But when our immune system is compromised, then their ability to do that also becomes compromised. And there's a number of things that compromise our immune system, from stress, from diet, from inflammation, from infections, etc. The liver is also another really important organ that we need to take care of, because if that's not functioning properly, that can also create a terrain that's more conducive to cancer growth. And yes, emotions. So it's really fascinating about how emotions impact our brain and our body and its homeostasis. So when you think about it, when you're stressed, when you're sad, when you're angry, you have this, there's a hormonal response, like stress hormones are released, cortisol, adrenaline, there's insulin, there's a lot of different hormones that get released, and this in turn compromises the immune system and liver function as well. There's actually research to show that if someone's been involved in significant trauma, that there is a good chance that they may develop cancer like a year later. So there's actually research on that. So when you see, I am seeing a lot with regards to Facebook and social media, a lot of things on positive mindset, meditation, yoga, and just having a positive outlook on life. I know in these current times it may not be, may be harder to do, but having that positive mindset, being relaxed, is really conducive to supporting a nice, healthy state of mind and state of body too. So let's have a look specifically to nutrition. The World Cancer Research Fund indicated that eating the right diet can actually cut your risk of cancer by up to 40%. So that's huge, and that's why I'm here today, is to sort of identify some of those things that you guys can do for you and your family now to help sort of set yourself up in the best possible way. So the first thing to do is consume tons of fruits and vegetables, at least 7 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. And ideally, you want that to be organic, because you want to get rid of those pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, insecticides, because those kind of chemicals are carcinogens and are not conducive, obviously, to preventing cancer growth. So you want to make sure it's organic. Ideally, you want to be eating 80% vegetarian. So incorporating more vegetable-based proteins into your diet. So that could be things like quinoa, seaweed, nuts and seeds, or nut and seed butters, lentils, legumes. Dark leafy greens are actually high in protein as well. So maybe even incorporating like a family meatless Monday, where you do like a vegetarian dinner instead of having meat. So you also want to be consuming the rainbow. So all those bright colors, like the oranges, the reds, the yellows, the blues, the greens, because those are symbolic of, those are phytonutrients. Those antioxidants are actually part of giving fruits and vegetables their colors. So for example, anthocyanins are an antioxidant found in berries, and they're responsible for giving fruits and those berries those bright blues and reds and purples. And beta-carotene, found in apricots, sweet potatoes, carrots, is responsible for giving those fruits and vegetables that bright orange color. And beta-carotene, there's a lot of research with regards to beta-carotene and cancer as well. Another great vegetables food group to incorporate is those cruciferous vegetables. So these are things found in broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, cauliflower, kale, etc. They're all very important at supporting the liver, which, as I mentioned before, is really important for helping with cancer, and again, rich with antioxidants and phytonutrients, which is all really good stuff. So fruits and vegetables contain antioxidants, and there's extensive research showing that these antioxidants can help to treat and prevent cancer. So in fact, a scientific review of over 206 human and 22 animal studies shows that there is a protective effect of consuming greater variety of fruits and vegetables intake with the cancers such as stomach, esophagus, lung, oral cavity, pharynx, endometrium, pancreas, and colon. The other really good important thing about consuming fruits and vegetables with cancer is the pH levels. So cancer loves and thrives in an acidic state. So when you're consuming lots of sugar, white bread, white pasta, lots of red meat, that creates a very acidic environment in the body, which your cancer loves and will flourish in. But consuming tons of fresh fruits and vegetables puts your pH level at a more alkalinizing state, and that creates a hostile environment for cancer cells to grow in. Particularly with the fruits and vegetables that are more alkalizing as all your green ones. So again, your kale, your dark leafy greens, your cucumbers, your green peppers, all those sort of green vegetables, very good for creating that alkalizing state and making it not conducive to cancer growth. So the other big one is you have to reduce red meat intake. And it's tough because meat is such a staple in the Western diet, standard American diet. So your red meat is like your beef, your pork, your lamb, your goat, but in particularly those processed meats. So your hot dogs, your sausages, your deli meats, those are terrible. So processed meats contain a chemical in it called N-nitrisol, which can damage DNA and can contribute to cancer development. So we really want to protect our DNA, and when you have DNA damage, that can support that cancer growth. The other thing with red meat is if you're cooking them at high temperatures, just cooking them can actually create and produce additional carcinogens. So that's like a double whammy right there. So red meat in those countries that inject growth hormone and other hormones to increase milk supply also increases the risk of hormone-based cancers. So this is your breast cancer and your prostate cancer. So one study found that women who ate red meat every day had a 56% increased risk of breast cancer. So that's huge. So research also shows that consuming high amounts of red meat are at greater risk of stomach and pancreatic cancer as well. So you really want to reduce your intake of red meat. In fact, the World Cancer Research Fund recommended that you do not eat red meat. Sorry, that if you do eat red meat, this should actually be limited to 500 grams, and that's 500 grams of cooked red meat a week. So that isn't much. If you are consuming red meat, you really want to focus on organic, grass-fed beef, and you really want to focus on those lean, organic cuts, because the toxins and the hormonal byproducts and hormones all hang out in the fat cells of meat. So if you've got a fatty cut of meat, you're going to be getting more of those toxins. So other good options for protein is fish, your game meat, free-range organic chicken, and eggs. The other big thing, which I know tough in Canada right now with summer, is barbecuing and frying. So avoid those charcoal meat on barbecue and frying, as these cause carcinogens, and research shows that this can increase the risk of stomach and colorectal cancer. So I know sometimes when you're barbecuing that, and whoever's barbecuing, and you see a lot of that black stuff on the meat, that is huge in terms of a carcinogen and cancer causing. So a healthier option for frying is just putting your meat in a fry pan with a bit of water, not even doing the oil, and frying it in the water. And this is a lot healthier for a number of other reasons too, because you want to stay away from those oils. Cooking oils at high heats can make that oil rancid, and again can be a problem for your health. A lot of us cook with olive oil and we think, yeah, we're being healthy. And olive oil is okay to cooking, but it has to be at a low heat. If you're cooking at high heats, you really want to be focusing on things like coconut oil and avocado oil. But definitely trying just a little bit of water at the bottom of the fry pan, much healthier options for cooking. Another big one is avoiding sugar. Cancer cells are very metabolic. They grow quickly, they multiply fast, and to do this, they require tons of energy, which means their main fuel source is glucose, is sugar. So they rely very much on what we eat to fuel their growth. So we really want to be reducing our sugar intake. So like I said, cancer cells thrive on sugar, and it's actually been shown that people with type 2 diabetes have 3 times the increased risk of developing cancer. Cancer Research UK also reports eating lots of sugar over time can cause you to gain weight. And there is a plethora of scientific evidence that shows being overweight or obese can increase your risk of 13 different types of cancer. So obviously consuming a lot of sugar is going to cause weight gain, and obesity is the single biggest preventative cause of cancer after smoking. So those are big ones. Maintain a healthy weight, don't smoke, and really reduce your sugar intake. So the other problem with sugar, again, it's very acidic. So it takes you out of that alkalinizing state and puts you into that more acidic state, which your cancer thrives in. Furthermore, diets high in sugar increase inflammation, and inflammation can cause insulin resistance, which in turn can cause diabetes, again, which can contribute to cancer. Inflammation also depresses your immune system. So again, really important with this current state of affairs that the world is in right now. But depressing the immune system is not going to be good in helping your immune system to fight off cancer cells and cancer growth. So a study in over 430,000 people found that those that added sugar or had increased sugar consumption was positively associated with an increased risk of esophageal cancer, pleural cancer, and cancer of the small intestine. The other thing is limiting alcohol consumption. I know I feel like a bit of a party pooper right here, but alcohol is the third one, is the top 3 causes of cancer death in the world. So again, smoking, obesity, and then it's alcohol. Last year, it was actually estimated that as many as 10,700 Canadians that were diagnosed with cancer was linked to alcohol consumption. And a survey showed that 60% of Ontario women and 40% of Ontario men actually exceed the consumption guidelines recommended by the Canadian Cancer Society. And also the National Toxicology Program of the US Department of Health and Human Services actually listed alcohol as a human carcinogen. I don't think that's actually common knowledge. So it is really important to get this information out there and just to be mindful what we're putting in our mouths, whether it be food or whether it be beverages. But yeah, alcohol is a carcinogen. The evidence indicates that more alcohol a person drinks, particularly the more alcohol a person drinks over a regular period of time, the higher his or her risk of developing an alcohol-associated cancer. So even light drinkers, those that have no more than 1 drink per day, and binge drinkers, so those that don't drink all week but maybe binge drink in the weekend, also have an increased risk of some cancers. And those alcohol-related cancers include that of the mouth, the throat, the larynx, the esophagus, the breast, the liver, and the bowel. So what the Canadian Cancer Society recommends is that women have less than 1 standard drink per day and men have less than 2 standard drinks per day. So that's the 4 top ones that I wanted to talk about today. So obviously get tons of fruits and vegetables in there. Try to make sure it's organic. Get a lot of those cruciferous vegetables in there as well. Your kale, your Brussels sprouts, your broccoli, your asparagus. Make sure you're eating the rainbow, all those bright different colors. Really try and reduce your sugar intake. Maintain a healthy weight. Really reduce your alcohol intake, and really try and reduce your red meat intake, and try and incorporate like a meatless Monday or some more vegetarian meals into your diet. So that's the references from today's presentation. So thank you very much for joining in, and I look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks. So August, our theme is libido, sex drive, and sexual function. The reason why I wanted to do this is from China after COVID lockdown, they had record divorce rates. And I think it's important, obviously during these stressful times, we need to look at ways to make sure that we're still bonding with our partners. Tons of health benefits with having sex, which I will be talking about next month with our theme being sex and libido. So thanks everyone, and I'll see you next couple of weeks.